I always wondered if there was any performance difference between the it statement here or the ternary operator here. So would one run faster than the other? Let's dive into this code and break down what's happening here. So we're comparing two different approaches for checking the sign of a number. One using the if statement here, and another using the ternary operator here. The question is whether these different syntaxes have any impact on performance. The if-else statement approach is straightforward. It checks the value of a number and prints out whether it's positive, negative, or it's 0. Based on that condition, it's a simple and explicit way to handle this logic. On the other hand, we are exploring the ternary operator approach. And this syntax here, for example, allows us to concisely express the entire if-else logic up here into a single line of code here. We can think of if-else statement condensed into a single expression essentially with the ternary operator, because you can see the structure of it. It's if number is greater than 0, then we get a positive, else the number is negative. If it is a negative number, else we say it's 0. So it's a concise way of doing the if statement. We can think of the ternary operator as an if-else statement condensed into a single expression. However, beneath the shorthand syntax, there is still conditional evaluation happening. So would there be any performance impact between the two functions here? We're going to simulate essentially a large number of iterations, starting at 100, 1000, and 10,000 input sizes. For each size, we will run the timeIt function, which is here, and we are going to check the average execution time for both functions. This gives us a way to compare how efficiently each approach handles these operations. So whether the check number ternary wins or the check number if block wins in terms of timing and performance. So we are using the timeIt module here because it provides a robust way to measure performance. So by running the benchmark multiple times here, we are going to smooth out any noise or variability in the results and get a reliable performance estimate on its execution time for these two functions. The percentage difference is simply a way to find out which function works. So we are working out a percentage between the if and the ternary operator to work out which one is better. So this will give us a clear idea on the performance gap between the two syntaxes. Well, essentially what I'm trying to answer is, do the ternary operator introduce any noticeable overhead, or are they just efficient as their if-else counterparts? By running this benchmark and analyzing the result, we can find out how different programming languages constructs impact performance. Let's now run both functions here, the if block and the ternary function. And let's run this one first for a positive number and see what output average performance timing that we get. So if I put 1 in here as our first argument in here, and if I run this, and this will be, of course, going to print all positives because that's what the function is doing. So it's running both functions now, and we got the output here. Now let's change that over here to the next condition is negative. So we're going to put a -1 here and going to put -1 in here. And this will now, of course, run this to say the output is negative. So it's going to repeat that 100 times, 1,000 times, and 10,000 times. So let's get average timing of that and store that information in the output txt file. Okay, so as you can see, now negative has been executed. So now let's do the same with 0. So we'll put 0 in here and there. And now it's going to execute this for us here. So we'll go up here and run this. And as you can see, we're now getting the function which is running, and this is it, it's finished running. So it's run 100 times, 1,000 times, and 10,000 times. So here we have the output for this. And now let's compare the results. So here the output. So we have the output for positive numbers, negative numbers, and 0. And what I decided to do is also introduce some random numbers. So they are not consistent. So essentially what I'm trying to do is a natural scenario where numbers could be 0, negatives, or positives. So here you can see that I have introduced numbers from -100 to 100 in here. So it could be running this for -5, +5, or 0, and see what output we get. Now for random numbers, of course, I've introduced 3 runs. So run 1, run 2, run 3. So let's talk through and see what we have here. So for random numbers in run 1, -100 to 100, you can see the ternary operator is essentially faster when we have an input size of 100. But the if-else statement seems to run faster when we have 1,000 and 10,000 runs of that if-else statement block function that we had. So in run 2, it's similar to run 1, but the ternary operator is slightly faster. And although the ternary operator here sort of wins, but the win isn't by a large margin here in the size of 1,000 and 10,000. So let's look at run 3 now, which is random numbers between -100 and 100. And you can see here that in run 3, the ternary operator is performing well with small inputs, but it seems to lose efficiency when it's a large iterative run of that statement. And then you can see again. Now let's look at so those were our random numbers. Now let's look at the positive numbers. So for the positive numbers, essentially, if we go back to our if statement block, so here, the positive is actually the first one. So does it break out here is the question. While, as you know, with the ternary operator, it operates from right to left. So it goes from here, right, to left here. So does it actually change the performance of this statement here versus that where it sort of breaks out? So if we go back here to the positive numbers, so you can now see that the ternary operator is actually 17% faster than the if-else, if the input size is 100. And we have the if-else statement here, which is better. So the ternary operator essentially is 18% slower for input size of 1,000 and 10,000 here. So it's by 1.26%. Let's now look at the negative numbers. So this is the scenario number 5. And you can see here that we are again getting a better performance on the ternary operator when the number of iteration is 100. But as the iterations increases to 1,000 and 10,000, the if-else performed better. And as you can see here, it's performing by 21% there, better than the ternary operator, or 2.38% when it's 10,000 iterations. So you can see same scenario here for 0. Again, the ternary operator wins in terms of batch size of 100, but when the iterations increase, the if-else statement runs faster. So you can see here, if I go here, that the negative one is the second condition in the if-else block. But of course, for the ternary operator, it operates from right to left. So you've got the negative condition here and then positive here. So would leaf condition break out here, for example, as soon as a negative match is found? And of course, the last block is 0. So again, you can take this information with caution, but as you can see, there was one outlier where ternary operator performed better, but this again was a random number. So again, it could be just an outlier here. But in terms of usability of the if function here, so you've got the if function and the ternary function. In terms of which statement, or whether the if statement is better. So as you can see, the if statement does look better than the ternary operator in terms of readability, but the ternary operator does provide a concise view of this code. So, which again, you only have to, if you look at the word print statement here, let's say you had a similar situation where you were calling a function, the print here, of course, is only repeated once, while in the if block, it is repeated 1 to 3 times. So from a readability point of view, the if statement looks better, but from a conciseness point of view, it's less typing to do and less chances of error, I suppose. You could make a mistake in calling the wrong function or some other scenario. The ternary operator is better in terms of conciseness and writing less code. So there you have it. So this was the performance comparison between the two. So you can see if LCMS 2 in my experiments perform better than the ternary operator, but then again, it's not a straight cut answer in terms of which one you should use. You should just use based on your own scenario and statement and what you're trying to do in your code. But yeah, that's my opinion.